And we are back. This is going to be a short one. All we're going to do right now is show you how to export everything from KiCAD so that we can submit an order to PCBWay and get our boards in and be ready to go. So let's walk through that. So here I am in KiCAD. I'm going to open up my main, first of all, I'm going to open up the schematic. So I did a video previously that goes into much more detail. I'm going to run through this a little faster than I did in that video. And I can link that here on YouTube to the previous one that has a little bit more detail. But what we need to do is we need to get all of the different files that the fabrication and assembly house will need to build our device. And so the first thing that I'm going to do is come up here to this little, I don't know what looks like an Excel spreadsheet, edit symbol fields, and click on that. This is every part that is on our board. And it has a reference, a value, what the footprint is for it, a description that I copy off of DigiKey, as well as a part number. You have to have a specific part number for every part on the board. And so that is, I've already done that. And so I have part numbers for everything on here. Now, I didn't go through and verify that all of these are in stock. I'm just going to send it over the wall to PCBWay. They will let me know if they can't source any of these or if there's a long turnaround time, in which case I can ask them what specifically is hard to get a hold of, and I can change part numbers on like resistors and capacitors. But it's fully filled out, and so you have to do that before before submitting. And then I'm going to come up here to the Generate Bill of Materials, and I'm going to choose this BOM CSV grouped by value. And I'm just going to go ahead and click Generate. And it generates this file just called main. And so if we open that up, stat feeder hardware, yay. If we just double click on it, oh, it's going to open up in that. Let's open it up in Libre Office Calc. Okay, let me drag this over here. You get this like, hey, it's in this format. Just hit OK. And bring this over. And here we go. It's got every item. It did not group them here. They've changed this, obviously. Here we go. This is what we want. This collated components. So it's got the reference, the quantity, is this just a count? This output's new on the newest version of KiCAD. Value, footprint, and if we come over here, just a little bit, we've got the description and the part number, and then we can include any notes that we want. So this is our bill of material, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify it. It used to print out much nicer. I don't like the new version of KiCAD, the way it does this. I'm going to take all these rows up here, and I'm just going to delete them. Again, you want to make this as simple as possible because you don't want them to have to ask you a bunch of questions about it. So like this item 1, 2, 3, 4, just counting up, like that seems silly to me. And so we're just going to drop that column altogether. Now the quantity we do want, I don't know why it made it like super huge wide. Let's adjust that. It doesn't really matter because we're going to send it as a CSV. So I guess the formatting doesn't really matter. Here are the references. That's great. The value. Let's get rid of this first one here. Lib part, they do not need. So we can go ahead and delete this entire column. Footprint, I like to leave just in case there's a question on like, is it 0402, 0805, 0603? So I leave it. I don't know that they need it. They definitely don't need the data sheet. So let's go ahead and delete that column. And then the description, part number, type, we don't need either. So let's go ahead and delete that. So here is our complete bill of materials for the ESP32 e-paper display dev board, also known as the stat feeder puck holder, serving multiple purposes. So this is all great. There's an additional thing that we need to indicate with the ESP room module, which I believe, so we'll just add like a notes column here, and a couple of things that are really important. And that is, for this run, I do not want that vertical, this right here, this vertical 1x10 placed. And so I'm going to actually get rid of the, I would put it in the notes like this, do not place. But all they might see is the part number. And so to make sure that there's no confusion, I'm actually going to drop the part number and just put do not place. And that way, if they don't have a part number, they can order it. And so even if it's just blank, they'll reach out and say, you didn't give us a part number, and it gives you an opportunity to say do not place. But be very clear, do not place. There's actually nothing to place on this. And so you don't actually have to write do not place. But again, the more explicit you can be, the better. And I think that's everything. Oh, and the buttons I also do not want to place. Because that is not how our, let's see, switch 1 and 2 right here, tactile switch. That's part of the dev board. I don't want that for now because I'm trying to test the product, and we should not need those switches. Now, if we absolutely have to, the pads will be there and we can fiddle with them, but we don't need them installed. So I'm going to put do not place on those as well. And I think that's going to do it for the bill of materials. So let's go ahead and say File, Save. And I actually, let's export it. Let's not export it. Sorry, let's just do a File, Save As. File, Save As. And I'm going to come into the fab directory here. I'm going to save this as bill of material, and it'll down here you can see it's a CSV format. Hit save. Okay, great. Now that we have the bill of material, let me pull this over here. The fab, as you can see, has all of this stuff in it. I'm gonna delete everything, including this. Because we're going to regenerate everything. And so right now, all we have is our bill of material. So great, we're going to need that. Next, we're going to come back over to KiCAD. We're done in here. And we can go ahead and close our schematic, actually. Save changes, sure. And now let's open the actual PCB. Now you can see I have all of the regions filled, top and bottom. Oh, one quick thing to mention. I did make a change after our last stream. I'm going to unfill everything. And that is, as part of going through and coming up with that part number for every single part, I learned something, which is in our voltage divider, which are these resistors right here and here now, I'm using very large values, 1 meg and 330K. And I had them as 0402 until I went into DigiKey and tried to pick a part number and found out that resistors that big don't come in packages that small, generally. And so I needed to change those. I had them all stuffed in here, nice and neat and vertical, but I had to change to a larger footprint. It's, let me zoom in a little more. This footprint right here and this footprint right here. I had to change those out because I couldn't find 0402 versions of those because they're such high resistance values. And so that was just a change that we made, just as a heads up. And so now when you come in here and your board's all ready, you're gonna, I press B as a shortcut. It fills all the regions. And then just as a last check, I run the DRC and make sure nothing shows up. I have no problems or markers, no unconnected items. Great. And so in this state, we're ready to come up here and say File, Plot. And you can see my output directory that I have selected is fab. So it's going to put everything in that fab folder that we just were showing you. And then these values you can mostly leave in their default. The one that you need to make sure if you're submitting to PCBWay and many other fab houses is the format that they like it to be in. Is you need to make sure, because this was checked by default, this use extended X2 format, you need to make sure that is unchecked, because if you do that, not that anything bad happens. It's just will be a delay. They're going to reach out and say, hey, that's not in the RS247X format. You need to send it to us in that format. And so there is nothing on this screen that says it's in RS-247X. And the way you know it is by making sure this use extended X2 format is unchecked. And so we'll leave that unchecked, and then we just select the layers that we want to output. And so front copper, back copper, we don't need the adhesive layers because there is no adhesive in this case. I think that's what that stands for anyway. I've never checked those. Front paste, front silk screen, back silk screen, front solder mask, back solder mask. These are user-defined things that I don't have anything on that the fab house would need. Edge cuts is the outline of your board. Front courtyard, back courtyard. I actually don't think they need or care about these, but I export them anyway. And then front fabrication and back fabrication. And if you're curious what any of these are, you can actually just close out of here and come into this view, and you can turn them all the layers on here, on and off. So you can see like, what happens when I turn on fab? And you'll see that it adds a bunch of annotation and stuff. We can turn that off. So they actually probably don't need that either. So let's go back into plot. I'm actually going to turn that off. I don't think they need forward fab and back fab. The less files, the better. Okay. And the plot format, we're going to select Gerber. And I believe that's it. We can go ahead and do plot. And then it's just going to create a whole bunch of files. If we come back over and look at our fab directory now, you can see it's loaded with stuff. And so that's great. The other thing that we're going to do while we're in this dialog is generate drill files. We click on that. I left everything as the default here, so I didn't make any changes. And the same thing, output folder is fab. So we'll go ahead and do generate drill file. It's going to create a plated through hole drill and a non-plated through hole drill file. And those, again, just get dropped right in that fab directory. And then the last thing that we'll generate while we're in here is we'll come up here and we'll say File, Fabrication Outputs, Footprint Position File. Now, this is what's referred to a lot of time as the centroid file, which is what helps the pick and place machine that picks up all the components and places them on the board. It helps it know where to place them. And so I've always sent it as ASCII, and they haven't complained. I know a lot of places like it in the CSV format, and so I leave it in millimeters because that's mostly what all dimensions are given in things like this. And I don't check any of these boxes here. So ASCII, millimeters, and there we go. I hit generate position file. Separate files for front and back just means it'll create one for top and bottom. In this case, I don't have anything to place, machine place on the bottom, so it doesn't really matter. So generate position file, and you'll see those are generated as well. If we come back over to here, we've got this main bottom position file and then main top position file. And so that is everything that you need to send off for fabrication and assembly. And so what I will then do is I will come in here and I will get the entire bunch of them and compress them. And I'm just going to call this one. What is it? March. What's today? Today's the 13th. March 13th, 2021. And hit create. Just something so that sometimes I'll keep these files around so I know what was actually sent to the fab house when. And so this is the version 1.1 of the hardware. It's March 13th, 2021. Great. We have our files ready. Now, what we need to do is come over here to PCBWay and let's walk through submitting this. So I'm just logged into my account, standard PCB, and we just have to go through all of these prompts. So again, I'm going to link right here in the video. I'm going to link somewhere above us the previous video I did where everything, I explain what every single one of these settings is. and to give you an idea of how to select them. But something I just now noticed while we're filming is this quick order. Upload Gerber files and autofill parameters. Like, let's give that a try. Add Gerber file. Like, what is it looking for? Standby. We're going to try something new here. Where's that? Oh, accept zip. Okay. So let's just try this. I don't know if this is going to work. EDA and then fab. And then we're just going to give it our zip file that we just zipped up. Let's see how well this works. Parameter reading. Detected 2-layer board. This is the correct size of our board. Great. Okay, and now that's probably going to save us some time. Great. Because I was going to have to measure this with my trusty little ruler. Okay, so board type, single pieces, different design and panel, just one. That's our thing. I only want 5. It's a 2-layer board. FR4 is just fine. TG130. Now, this thickness is not specified, I believe, in those files that they would have gotten. I actually want it to be 0.8. This is why you got to go through all these settings, make sure it's correct. So we want a 0.8 millimeter thickness. 6.6 is 3. Yep. Let's do blue this time. Did that change the price? No. All right, let's do blue. Silk screen white, edge connector no, surface finish. I would rather it be, that changes the price. Yeah, see, you know, for the test, let's just leave it with lead. For production, I will change this to immersion gold so that it can be lead free as a product that I give to people. For me testing, I'm okay with Hazel with lead. Okay, that's fine. They can change it if they want, not charge me extra. We're trying to save money here. Tending vias, yep. 1 ounce copper. We're gonna do 2 ounce. That is a huge difference. Yeah. I think current wise, I'm okay at 1 ounce copper. And great. Okay, that's it for the PCB side of things. Now, let's switch over to assembly service, because I do want them to assemble this. I do want it to be turnkey, meaning I want them to source the parts. Assembly is top side. Quantity, again, is 5. Contains sensitive components. Not really. Unique number of parts. This is where it would have been nice for me not to have gotten rid of that. Field. Let me actually open this back up in Calc, because it'll tell us. Okay. Here's our main bill of material again. Oh, I saved it. Okay, well, anyway, we're down here to 40, but some of these aren't actual parts, like the one is a tester. So let's say it's 39 minus 3. It's like 36. Oh, but we need to know the combination of that. Ugh. Should have had this. Number of unique parts is like 36. And then number of SMT parts, I believe, look at this from before. 72 is about what it is, because I've submitted this before. I don't have any BGA or QFP. Number of through-hole parts, 1. Okay. And I think that's it. We'll go ahead and hit calculate. There is no way this is only $33. Like, what am I missing? $5? Like, that's crazy. I feel like something has been miscalculated, because $33 is an insanely cheap version of this. That doesn't include components, obviously. That's nuts. But this is all right. Now, if they want to change the price on me, it's fine. Right now it says 33. So I'm going to hit save to cart. Great. And now it says under review. Now, I've already uploaded. I don't know why it says file not upload. It's right there. Now they will go and they will look at that. and figure out what the component cost is, figure out if the bill of materials is something that they can fulfill and if there's any issues with that. And so that's really it. It's not a very complicated process. Once you do it a few times, it's becomes second nature, but basically you just get all the files to them. And PCBWay specifically, I have mostly worked with them for the last year and a half or so. They're really good about asking questions. If there's anything that they're not sure about, they will not just assume and do it for you, which I know happens at some other places. You can hear horror stories about that sometimes where they just make an assumption and it's not right. They've been very good about if they're not sure about something, they will reach out and ask before proceeding. And so I've really appreciated that. So yeah, now we wait. We're getting ready to get into the daytime there in China, so I should hear back sometime this evening. And again, they'll send me the bill of materials back, ask any questions, and I'll get a final quote price that I can then check out and start the process. So that's really all it takes. It just takes a few minutes. What are we at here? 20 minutes to get all the files exported and submitted so that we can have our, I said pilot order before, but now we're back to testing some changes and redesign stuff, and this is all new hardware things. So we'll get 5 of them, test them, see where we go from there, and we'll keep on this journey together of building an ESP32 based product. So next time, I know I've been saying it, but I really mean it this time. Next stream, we are going to get into some firmware so that we can start having stuff to run on these boards when they show up, to test them and make sure that they're going to do what we expect them to do. So that's going to do it for today. I appreciate everybody watching. As always, if you have questions, please just submit them down below. I'm happy to try my best to answer those to help you in your projects. So thanks again and have an amazing day.